Alright then. Right, quick disclaimer. My screen's going to look weird on YouTube because I play 4x3 stretched. Just bear that in mind. It shouldn't mess with any of your lineups. You still put your crosshair on exactly the same place. Right, let's start with the basics. Stairs smoke. I know for the triple smokes here we all tend to know one each, but it would be good if we all knew them all, because then we wouldn't have to waste 20 seconds faffing about with someone moving from jungle back towards CT, and you have to shift walk the whole way, so you can easily waste 20 seconds. Whereas if everyone knew everything, we could just do wherever we were standing. So you need to get exactly in the middle of this pillar. You look at this little jutting out bit of wood. Now you drag it sideways until you're in the sky between this wood and this wall, and then you go a little bit higher than what the jutting out wood was and left click. You get a lot of leeway with this one, so shouldn't take long. It looks like it's going to miss there, but it always lands. Right, next one is jungle. There are 100 different ways to throw this. I'll just teach you the one that I've always done. You have to get exactly in the middle of this pillar. This is really important, otherwise your smoke's going to kink off a wall and it's going to land incorrectly. Put your crosshair on this little dark patch. If I put my cross below, you can see it, that dark patch. So that's your vertical lineup. And then this little trapezium thing, you can go halfway up it for your horizontal. So drag up until you're halfway up. And about that should be right for a left click, basic left click. Because of the way smokes kind of shift and you know, they don't hold a form, a gap sometimes forms here. Very rarely does one open up here beyond this little gap. You can sometimes see enemies through this, and when they can't see you, so don't feel like you're going to die if you're climbing here. Just get a free kill by spamming them. Other useful A-site smokes are this one. If an execute goes wrong, and we end up at Tetris and the smokes have been gone for 20 seconds or whatever, you just get in the corner, look at all of these little boxes, put your crosshair on the second one, left click. Gapless down here, and it takes a while for them to be able to see from up here. Good one to have. I often see people missing a CT smoke at start of rounds, so just run up here, next to the girder, in between these two lines, left click. Much safer than, what do you call it, just running and chucking it and relying on, like, muscle memory. Smokes on B, not really that important. I very rarely throw this one into the trash can at the bottom of this little tooth made by the shadow, and I like to put a slight lean to the left here so I don't miss it. Left click. Same can be done with a Molotov. Molotov doesn't have to be as accurate. It's going to pop in the air like that. Pop flash, if you got an AWPer teammate and they want to re-peek, you just stand, again this is general, you stand in the front of this, aim somewhere on this air conditioning unit, left click. That's a good one. Likewise, if you ever got a Mag 7 in this corner, look at this little dark patch, raise it up a little bit. Again, they only see between here and here. That's too quick to dodge. What other easy smokes are there? You can smoke off bench into this pillar. Look at this kind of thick line that comes down. Drag the crosshair a little bit to the side. Although, to be honest, this one's a bit... I kind of like seeing this one when I'm playing B, because it lets me stay alive for ages and you can just play around it like this. So unless you're going for like a specific strategy or something, I wouldn't throw that bench smoke as a one-off. Alright, smokes once you're out middle. If you want a super safe window smoke, you get into this corner, you line up this point with this point in the sky, and then you lean a little bit to the left, and then left click. You need to lean to the left so you don't make a one-way smoke on the side. Gap, no gap there. And oh shit, I did leave a gap. So what did I do wrong? Oh, I evidently didn't lean enough to the left. There you go, proves my point. Let's try it like that maybe. Without speeding up and ruining it. But anyway, that's not the way I throw window. This one's a little bit harder, but it pops a lot quicker. Get to the back, line up this brown point with the antenna. Now put the crosshair at the bottom of the antenna, take a couple of steps and throw. 1, 2, go. That usually does it. Perfect, you can see it pops right in the middle, and it's super quick to pop because it's a run throw. Right, 2 ways to smoke short. One way, you get in this corner, put your crosshair here at the top of this letter T, lean it a little bit to the left and left click. You need to lean it to the left, otherwise it's going to bounce here and ruin it. Another way to throw the same smoke into this corner, aim at the very tip of the antenna, left click. If you ever find yourself just in the middle of mid and you need to quickly freehand a smoke short, don't do one like that, you might miss it. Much safer, place yourself directly in front of the vertical line of this letter B, and then just doesn't really matter what height you chuck it, as long as it bounces off that B. I almost missed that one. You'll always get one that lands about the middle of short, so it'll always block off the left and the right side. Probably want a little less power on it though. That looks good. Like that. You do the same thing from bottom mid if you just need to like eyeball a smoke. You look at the letter A, you stand a little bit to the right hand side, and now you can throw like all sorts of grenades here. Same thing works with Molotov. If you ever want to do a specific lineup, now we're verging onto slightly harder smoke territory. Perfectly in the middle of this. Now you're going to crouch, put your crosshair on the top left corner, go for about 2 steps maybe, and then throw 1, 2, go. This one's especially nice because you'd obviously think about the context. Your underpass, you probably want to get up connector now. This smoke, out of all the short smokes, is the best I've shown thus far for denying connector vision from the brick boost. Right, in terms of standing throws, that might be it. I guess there are a couple more you can throw from this angle. I think, yeah, if you stand here, just like you need to eyeball a CT one. Remember this one? Sometimes you need to deep jungle one, so you just aim at the tip of this bit of wood. Be warned, this one takes years to pop. That's good. We often die to a decent AWP in jungle. It's never fun to run the gauntlet across here, so that's good smoke. You can also smoke top con and I believe jungle, but I can't really remember the lineups. I think top con is jam yourself into this corner, and then a bit like that, you find this top corner and drag it a little bit. Let's see if that lands. That's almost it, just needs a bit more oomph, otherwise it becomes a one-way like this. Right. Jam yourself in this corner, find this brick with the big, I don't know, the big bit of cement there. Drag it left a little bit, left click. There you go. If you want a Molotov Tetris, you raise it up 2 bricks. And it's important you raise it 2 bricks in order to burn the back section. If you want a Molotov ramp, you use the smoke line up and you add a step. if you ever want to smoke Palace, but you obviously you don't want to peek it like this because you get orbs. I always use this white kind of chimney looking thing as a lineup. If I'm close, I can just left click it. Although most of the time, I add a little step to be sure. And you very rarely miss it if you just use that white chimney as a lineup. Ever underwards, just a walk throw like that. Oh, Troy, this is a good one for you. This is the one-way smoke that people like Crims always throw. 2 techniques for throwing it. You either bounce it off the wall, so you bounce it off that thing or this thing. Or the way I think Fur throws it is you just right-click it into this little nook here. And it's good for holding top mid, but even better for one-weighing underpass. So that's what it's good for, and it also discourages bottom mid players from charging through connector because they're going into uncharted territory. I think that's it. So if you want to stop the video now, I'm going to move on to jump throws, and if you're not interested, that's it. Alright, jump throws. This is a setup Troy and I do at the start of rounds recently on 128. Oh, all of these have been 128 look at the bottom left of my screen. So if you want a short smoke from T-spawn, you look in the middle of this dirty patch. Jump bind. It's going to bounce off the letter B. As you can see, it's pretty good for not seeing connector, and it's obviously perfect for people at ground level. So that would get paired up with my slightly harder window smoke, where you look at this stain, lift it up to the top of the railing, and then rather than just pressing a jump bind key, you have to hold D for a few seconds. So you can see me moving about 1 mile an hour here as I'm moving along the circular bin. So I hold D for literally any amount of time, doesn't matter. You hold it for 1 second, 3 seconds, and then I press my jump key. So D jump. And it sounds really complicated, but that will always land. Sometimes it lands on the ground here, sometimes it lands on the very lip, but it always lands perfectly. Doesn't matter where it bounces. If you ever want to smoke top con into this corner, antenna, raise it to the top, jump bind. I'm sure we all know this, but you can't do a smoke here and expect to be safe if you run short. What I've just thrown is literally the one-way smoke I just did for CTs. So that's why you always need to do this top con smoke, and you have to manually take connector with mollies, or with flashing it, and then when your mate peeks it or whatever. But you have to manually take the inside of connector. Speaking of mollies, good way to molly this. Don't throw it like this. What happens is occasionally the molly gets dodgy, and then someone can stand up here without burning. Which is doubly bad because you think you're safe because you mollied it, and then he gets a free kill. So the way you do it without leaving any gaps is you kind of stand about here. See, I lift it up slightly. I look at this line. I like to go a little bit above the roof, left click. And that's perfect. This even works when there's an exit smoke. Oh, I'll show the exit smoke. Because you can see above it. Right, exit smoke, those who don't know it. You jump all the way up here, right in the corner. Look at the very tip. Other way of throwing it, into this corner. Look at this one, and about halfway along here. They pop in slightly different locations, but both do the key job of not leaving a gap here and not leaving a gap here from a window player's perspective. But you knew those anyway. Another top con smoke up here on the border between shadows. There's a little orange patch. Go on the little dark patch next to it. Put your crosshair here, this little white patch in the middle of all the dirt, and jump bind. Perfect. If you want to smoke ramp quickly, say they like to rush A, or if we're doing some sort of strat where both A players need to save their smokes for late game, a B player could do this. Start the round into the back corner. On the tip of this, I don't know, kind of grey border, a little bit right of this, a little bit left of this vertical line, kind of like that region basically. Jump bind. And the key here is that you miss this and you miss this. Both of those will mess up your smoke if you hit them. Otherwise it's perfect. And it pops a few seconds, maybe like 1 or 2 seconds before somebody who just ran up and left click this one. So it is slightly quicker to do the jump bind from spawn. What else? Oh yeah. A couple of smokes you can throw from apps with a jump. All of the jumps I've thrown so far are 128 tick. To be honest, if we're playing matchmaking, we don't need to have good strats, so I'm not going to show 64 ticks. But this one actually works for both. It's one of the rare smokes where the lineup doesn't matter on 64 128. You just line up at the top, on the black border at the very tip, jump, and you're right in this corner. And this one's great because I was talking to Troy about this. It's such a general smoke that like there's never really a bad time to throw it. Like you could, like about the bench smoke I threw earlier, that could screw up a take for somebody. But there's literally never a bad time to have this smoke down. So that's always a good one. Another jump bind. Look at this little red splodge. Look at this little jagged triangle, aim a tiny bit underneath it, jump bind. This is another one where I use the same lineup on 64, but again, I don't really play that. And then like B rush strat that some pro teams throw. You can throw 2 smokes from here that land at the, like the McDonald's arches on B, and then you rush immediately. One of them you line up here. And by the way, when you jump here, you're going to see your CT model's going to get shoved to the side. Don't worry, that won't ruin the smoke. So for 64 tick you aim here, 128 you need to aim a little bit higher. I just use my crosshair and get a little bit higher than that. Again, these take a long time to pop, so you've got more than enough time to run all the way through house. And you see it bounces on a sloped edge there, so it lands perfectly here. And the second one into this corner, 64 tick you aim here, 128 tick you got to drag it down to here. Oh, did that work? Yeah, that did work. Like that. And so with these 2 smokes down, you can isolate a short flare. But you'd obviously need to come up with a strat with that. As Troy says, they don't really work if you haven't got a play to make based off it. These are the 2 flashes when I throw on B rushes, and I constantly get flash assists for Troy and whatnot, so it's good for everyone to know these. You start with 1 jump bind. Again, the lineup's complete general. So jump bind, and then running throw. And you end up with 2 flashes like this over sight. So if they dodge one, they'll look back just in time for the second one to hit them. Other stuff. Mollying van's pretty common. Otherwise, I like to just chuck one through the window like this, and it conveniently lands right at the bench. It won't always get jailed though. This one did, but you've always got to check jail. Last one. Jam yourself in this corner. Look at this dark splodge. Aim a little bit up. Left click. Just good for stopping getting right players. Right, that might be all the smokes I know on Mirage, or at least all of the worthwhile ones.